This episode of Osprey 101 is sponsored by Housing and Residence Life.
Hi, I'm David. Welcome to our room. All right, so let me give you a tour of our room. So in terms of space, as you can see, it's relatively big. All of this brown furniture comes with the room. Anything else that you see that doesn't look dorm-y came from us and came from home. The beds are twin size, twin XL. In terms of accommodations or accessories that come with the room, you get a free trash can, and there's a dumpster right across the street. In terms of the AC is pretty standard unit. Cooler, 3 dots, warmer, on, off, high, low, medium fan. You'll never know what temperature the room is at, but you'll get a pretty quick feel on how cold or warm it is as soon as you walk in. It comes with 3 closets. If you have 2 roommates, one of them is meant to be used as just regular storage space, which is what we did. 1 for each of us, and then 1 for laundry space. Bathroom. The toilet does not come with a toilet seat. That's detrimental, especially if something falls off the side of the counter. Sink, relatively simple. Regular storage space underneath the counter. Regular old shower. So in terms of appliances that you can bring, you are allowed to have 1 or more microwaves. You can have a fridge that is max size 4.2 cubic feet. In relation to me, this is the max size that you are allowed. It is about 2/3, 75% of 1 5'8" person. You are allowed a printer. Very highly recommended, especially if you forget to print something the day something's due. In terms of other things, you're allowed to have drawers, baker's racks, storage buddies, anything that has a drawer you're allowed to have. So we have a beautiful laundry room, 6 washers, 6 dryers, $1.50 for the washers, $1.25 for the dryers. You can use an app or actual quarters. Relatively simple. They do a good job on keeping our stuff clean. This is our first floor community room / kitchen, and this is usually pretty quiet unless someone's cooking something. And this is the study room.
The first thing that a student wants to do if they plan to live on campus for next year is to complete their academic year housing contract. What's really important that a student do during that process is look through it, because it's really like a lease agreement. So that contract's going to outline rules, regulations, financial obligations, and a little bit about what our processes are going to look like. So the biggest takeaway for any student, first year and upperclassmen, is make sure you're watching your UNF email. That's where we're going to send all the room selection information. The way we do room selection here at UNF is that you choose your specific room. Also included in all of those communications is going to be, how do I pick my roommate? How do I pull somebody in? How do I create roommate groups? And so you want to pay attention to that. And the last piece will be your time ticket. That's specifically, when are you as a human going to go in and choose that room? And it may be different for you than it is for your preferred roommate or other friends. So make sure you're watching all of those emails. I think one of the first things you need to do is figure out what are your boundaries as a roommate. And for a lot of students, they may or may not have maybe lived with a sibling or with other people. So one of the first things I would suggest is, even before you get to campus, think about what's going to be important in that relationship and what are your boundaries. So some of the things to think about are, how clean or messy are you? What time of day do you like to go to sleep? What time of day do you like to get up? What level of noise do you have? In regards to rules and regulations, we have something called the Resident Handbook. So overall, for all UNF students, we have the Code of Student Conduct, and that's all university students have to follow those regulations. In addition, we have our resident handbook, and that is what guides the policies and procedures for students who live on campus. And so typically you're going to see some things repeated from the code of conduct and then some things that are really specific to living in a residence hall with people. So a lot of our rules and regulations for things to bring are going to be associated with fire safety. You're in a communal space, we want to make sure that you're making choices and bringing things that make sense. So as an incoming first year student, some of the options for how you can get involved, like I mentioned, you've got the living learning communities, which is a chance to live together with people in the same major, the same interest area. Those applications, there is an application deadline and it's early June this year. So you want to make sure that you're applying by that deadline. But you can apply to up to 3, you can preference up to 3, and the faculty and staff review those. Those LLCs are going to have an earlier move-in experience. You get to come to campus 2 to 3 days before everybody else. There's a higher concentration of doubles, and part of what you can experience during that retreat will be things like going to Eco Adventure and kind of getting the inside scoop before other students on what campus is all about. You also can get involved in hall council or area council, which is kind of like a student council for the residence halls. And then as you're here on campus, if you become an upperclassman, eventually you can think about if you want to be an RA or an LCA, so resident assistant or learning community assistant.